Hey guys, it's Alicia, and today I'm going to show you all about pasta, I'm going to be telling you all about pasta.
You went into the house and then her bedroom. You removed her from there and took her to a secluded spot where you violated and murdered her in the most brutal fashion.
A silent night. July. The Scottish Isle of Bute is wrapped in the coolness of night, with the salty sea breeze carrying the scent of seaweed ashore. The small town of Rothesay lies still, broken only by the creak of old shutters and the whisper of pine branches along the coast. Among the Victorian houses here, people rarely lock their doors at night. Trust is the norm. Trouble is not expected. In one such house, a modest 3-room apartment, 6-year-old Alicia McPhail drifts off to sleep to the soft murmur of a Peppa Pig cartoon. She's tired from a full day with her grandparents. She barely saw her dad. He was busy, but she still kissed him goodnight. The room is dim, the bed is warm, her stuffed animal nestled at her side. Everything feels safe. But on this night, in these very hours when the adults sleep behind the walls, someone is walking the streets. Someone who knows where the little girl lives. Someone who remembers what she looked like as she ran laughing along the beach, or giggled at the local fair. Someone with a darkness inside a darkness that's been festering for years. By morning, dozens will be searching for this person, and he will be asleep, the blood washed from his hands. Only a day later will the pieces of this horrific story begin to come together. A story that will reveal the most terrifying truth, that evil can wear the face of someone under 18 and live right next door. When Alicia was born on October 22nd, 2011, autumn in Airdrie, Scotland, was uncommonly golden. A young couple, Robert McPhail and Georgina Lochrain, held their daughter for the first time, and it felt like more than just a child. It felt like the beginning of a brand new life. But as is often the case, the promises of those first months faded more quickly than anyone wanted. Robert and Georgina separated when Alicia was only 3 months old. Yet, unlike many others, their breakup didn't become a war. They stayed polite, fair, and patient for their daughter's sake. And so, Alicia grew up surrounded by 2 families, her mom's and her dad's. In Georgina's house in Airdrie, everything was strict but loving. Despite her youth, Georgina worked hard to be a responsible mother, monitoring meals, school attendance, bedtime routines. Alicia was always well-dressed, did her homework on time, and never missed school without reason. Her mom encouraged her hobbies, and Alicia had many. She was especially captivated by the world of video and YouTube. Even in primary school, she started her own channel, posting short videos, book reviews, toy unboxings, simple vlogs. She imitated adult creators, adding intros, saying cheerful goodbyes like, "Don't forget to subscribe," and celebrated every single comment.
Hey guys, it's Alicia, and today I'm going to show you all about pasta, I'm going to be telling you all about pasta.
Alicia was curious, kind, and full of light. Teachers described her as a golden child, polite, diligent, always smiling. She made friends quickly and always tried to be part of the group. One teacher even called her a perfectionist in writing. Alicia loved telling stories and would rewrite her notebooks if her handwriting didn't look neat enough. Life with her father, Robert, was different. After the breakup, he moved back in with his parents on the Isle of Bute. At first, he tried to find work and later spent more time with his new girlfriend, Toni McLaughlin, 8 years his junior. Despite the ups and downs, Robert always made time for Alicia. Every 2 weeks, she visited him on the island, where her own space was ready, her bed, her toys, her clothes, just like at home. Those trips were a celebration for her. Beaches, the boardwalk, bus rides, feeding seagulls, games with Grandpa Kaloum, treats from Grandma. Bute became her second home, a place without school rules, where she could just be a kid. In the summer of 2018, she returned once again for 3 weeks. The plan was simple: walks, games, beach trips. She already knew which ice cream tasted best, where to find the prettiest seashells, and which swings Grandma would let her ride barefoot. And, of course, she planned more videos this time about making a card for her mom. No one knew this visit would be her last. Summer on the Isle of Bute is brief but beautiful. The warm sun barely grazes the horizon. The seaside grass sways with the sea breeze, and the ocean smells of peace and freedom. For 6-year-old Alicia, it was the best place in the world. That's where she arrived on June 28, 2018, another visit for her planned holiday with her father. Everyone who saw her said she was glowing with happiness. She missed her grandma, Grandpa Callum, the beach walks, and her dad. She had talked about this trip with her friends in advance and even planned to film little video blogs, just like a real YouTube star. As soon as she arrived, she asked to go back to her Scottish dance lessons, which she loved so much. But to her disappointment, the class had already closed for the summer break. To make up for it, her family took her to Ettrick Bay, one of her favorite spots. They walked along the sand, built castles, ate ice cream, and took pictures. Every day after that was full of activity. Her grandfather later recalled, she couldn't sit still, and she was always laughing. The highlight of her joy came during Gala Day, the local summer fair with rides, music, and cotton candy. Alicia rode the carousel, played games, and looked completely carefree. Her eyes sparkled with joy. Callum and Grandma Angela watched her with love, trying to remember every moment. A few days later, Callum was set to drive her back to Airdrie for a friend's birthday party. The 55-mile trip was cheerful. Alicia had a balloon and gently tapped her grandpa on the head with it the whole way. "Stop messing about," he grumbled, smiling. She just laughed. Pure happiness. No fear. No warning signs. At the party, she was shy at first. She didn't know the birthday girl. But she quickly settled in, found familiar kids, and played like she was home. That day was the last time she would be with friends. On the way back, they stopped by the beach again. Alicia tried to attack her grandpa with the balloon, but it flew out of her hands and burst in the wind. She chased after it, laughing. After dinner, Alicia watched a few cartoons. Then she kissed her grandma, grandpa, and dad good night, whispered, "Night, Grandpa," and went to bed. It was almost 11. But she was still smiling like the day's memories were still playing in her mind. Half an hour later, Callum peeked in. She was fast asleep, hugging her stuffed toy. Everything seemed peaceful. That night, 5 adults were in the house. All believed the child was completely safe. No one checked the front door. No one heard evil coming in. If you had crossed paths with 16-year-old Aaron Campbell in the summer of 2018, you probably wouldn't have given him a second glance. Just another teenager, tall, lanky, pale-eyed, dressed in ripped jeans and a hoodie. He often wore earbuds, scrolled on his phone, and grinned with his friends. At first glance, he was one of hundreds of ordinary boys. He lived on the same Isle of Bute in Rothesay. He grew up in a multi-bedroom house with his mother and younger sister. His father was mostly absent. He worked offshore in the oil industry and spent most of his time abroad. His mom, Jeanette Campbell, was officially unemployed but made money renting rooms to tourists. People said she drank. People said the house was full of arguments. People said Aaron was often left to himself. But around town and at school, he had a decent reputation. He was sociable, even popular among his peers. He ran a YouTube channel where he posted videos of parkour, stunts, and video game clips. He mimicked famous YouTubers, dreaming of becoming the next PewDiePie. In one video, he said, "I'm going to hit 1 million subscribers. I know I can do it." He was trying editing, learning, experimenting with different styles. You could tell he wanted to be someone. But something wasn't right. Behind that mask of an ambitious teen were dark thoughts that were slowly becoming more real. Aaron was obsessed with stories about Slender Man, the fictional child-snatching figure.
Yo, what's up guys, it's Aaron Campbell here, again, for another video. So I just wanted to say, thank you guys very much for 50 subscribers, even though I'm nearly at 80, 50 is just a better, like it's a rounder number. So this video is going to be 50 subscriber special, but either way, thank you guys very, very much. So this is just a trampoline video, without like footless tricks, like knees, backs, just cool tricks that you don't use your feet with. And so yeah, thank you guys very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, and if you want to see more, please subscribe. I really appreciate all the subscribers and all the support. Thank you guys very much, and roll the clip.
He read about serial killers, watched true crime documentaries. He didn't just follow this stuff, he lived in it. Once, when a friend asked why he watched so much of it, he smirked and said, "Just curious. Who knows, maybe I'll want to kill someone one day." She thought he was joking, but he wasn't. Back in 2017, when he was 15, he told that same friend he sometimes thought about doing something extreme just to feel something. Later, during questioning, he would say nearly the same thing. In that moment, I wasn't thinking about the consequences. I just wanted to know what it felt like to kill. His sense of morality was unraveling. He started drinking, smoking weed, going to parties, hanging out with sketchy people. By 16, he had used alcohol, cannabis, and possibly other substances. He argued with his mom, but he was a skilled liar. When she asked where he'd been at night, he'd say, "At a friend's, filming videos." She believed him, or pretended to. Aaron also had connections to Tony McLaughlin, Robert's girlfriend. Robert occasionally sold weed to him, and Tony allegedly helped deliver it. These connections would later become critical in the investigation. In spring 2018, Aaron and Robert had a falling out. Aaron claimed the product was weak, refused to pay, and held a grudge ever since. He stopped showing up around the house, but he hadn't forgotten who lived there and what he'd seen. He first noticed Alicia by accident, as he later claimed. She was on the beach with her grandparents. They were laughing. He was walking by with friends. He recognized the house, then the man, then the girl. And somewhere in the darkest corners of his twisted mind, something clicked. He didn't approach, didn't say a word, but he remembered her face, her figure, the way she moved, her voice. All of it became part of what he would later call a moment of opportunity. July 1st, 2018 was a warm and eventful day on the Isle of Bute. For 6-year-old Alicia, it started like any other breakfast, a walk with grandma, YouTube videos, favorite cartoons. The whole house was in a relaxed summer rhythm. Grandpa Callum read the paper. Grandma Angela bustled in the kitchen. Her father was in the garden. Tony McLaughlin, Robert's girlfriend, was texting on her phone. That evening, they went grocery shopping and cooked dinner together. At 10 o'clock, Alicia crawled into her bed. Tony turned on Peppa Pig, kissed her on the forehead, wished her good night, and closed the door. Around 11, Grandpa Callum peeked in. The girl was fast asleep, clutching her stuffed toy. All was quiet, not a sound, not a creak, nothing to signal what was coming. Meanwhile, in another part of Rothesay, darkness was awakening. Aaron Campbell, the 16-year-old boy, was wrapping up a party at his house. About 15 people were there, loud music, wine, cigarettes, bursts of laughter. The table was littered with leftovers and empty bottles of fortified wine, including one called Mad Dog. Aaron drank almost an entire bottle himself and shared more from a friend's stash of Echo Falls. As the party wound down near midnight, Aaron grew irritable. He argued with his mom, complained about his life. One friend later recalled, he was off, said he was sick of everything and wanted to do something just to feel something, then go to bed high. He tried calling Robert Alicia's dad, who he used to deal with for weed. No answer. He texted Tony silence. And then, drunk, he made a decision. "I'll get it myself. They've got it. Maybe the door's not even locked." He went downstairs to the kitchen, grabbed a knife, for self-defense, he would later say, threw on a hoodie, stepped outside. It was 1:54 a.m. Security cameras caught his shadow slipping into the night. The McPhail home was sleeping. Every window was dark. Inside, silence. The door was unlocked, the key still hanging in the lock. Aaron walked in, took off his shoes, listened. He knew the layout. Right near the entrance, Alicia's room. Further in the living room, master bedroom, kitchen. He could have walked past, taken what he wanted, and left. But he opened her door. The room was dim. The soft glow of a nightlight caught the shimmer of her blonde hair. She slept curled around a pillow, her toy in hand. He stood over her, watched for several seconds, thinking. Later, he would tell a psychologist, "The moment I saw her, I knew I was going to kill her. It was like a flash, a moment of opportunity. He left the knife in the hallway, stepped in, carefully lifted the girl in his arms. She didn't wake. He slipped out the front door, gently closing it behind him. The whole thing took no more than 5 minutes. Outside, it was cool. The night wind carried the scent of salt from the bay. After a few hundred yards, the girl stirred. "Who are you?" she whispered. "I'm your dad's friend. I'm taking you home. I'm cold." He took off his hoodie and wrapped her in it. Even in this, a twisted act of fake kindness, he was trying to make her feel safe. They walked for nearly half an hour, along the shoreline, through empty streets, past old houses and stone steps. A few cameras recorded their movement. Around 2 a.m., they reached the grounds of an abandoned hotel, once Bute's pride, now overgrown ruins. He turned into the woods. What happened in that darkness defies belief. The evidence showed Alicia was sexually assaulted, beaten, and strangled. Some inflicted while she was still alive, some so horrific that even seasoned investigators were shaken. After the murder, he laid her body down and neatly placed her pajamas beside her. Then he walked to the shore and threw his clothes into the sea. Cameras caught him returning home, hopping over a fence, changing, then going back to the scene to retrieve his phone. All of it silent, methodical, emotionless. At 6 a.m., Grandpa Colum woke up, went to the kitchen, made tea, peeked into Alicia's room and froze. The bed was empty. He called out silence. Checked the bathroom, no one. Walked through the house, nothing. One by one, the adults began to wake. Panic built with each minute. By 6:23 a.m., police were called. The search began soon after. Posts on Facebook, calls for volunteers, even a helicopter was dispatched. But Alicia was already gone. The morning of July 2nd on the Isle of Bute began with panic. A Coast Guard helicopter circled the rooftops of Rothesay. Police officers with radios patrolled the streets. Dozens of volunteers combed the beaches and woods. A quiet island, used to calm and routine, was suddenly the center of a nightmare. A little girl had vanished. Alicia MacPhail had disappeared from her own home during the night, while 4 adults were inside. No sound, no struggle, no cry, just an empty bed and a missing child. The first hours were frantic. Her father, Robert, ran through the neighborhood, shouting her name. Grandma Angela kept calling the police. Tony messaged friends and called everyone she could think of. In a desperate attempt to figure out who might know something, she even messaged an old acquaintance, Aaron Campbell. "Can you check if you see Reb's Vi girl anywhere?" What happened? She went missing from the house. Police and a helicopter are already here. Oh God, I hope she's just out walking. I'm sure she hasn't gone far. That message would later be quoted in court because the person who sent it already knew Alicia was dead. By 8:54 a.m., a grim suspicion turned into devastating truth. One of the volunteers, searching near the ruins of the abandoned hotel, spotted something pale through the tall grass. It was a body, small, lifeless, hidden beneath the shadow of trees. Her clothes were neatly placed beside her. The area was silent. The police acted fast. They locked down the area, began interviews, and pulled footage from dozens of surveillance cameras. One name started to come up more and more: Aaron Campbell. He was immediately on the police's radar. A local teen, connected to Tony and Robert, with a history of conflict with them. Multiple people had seen him outside the night of the murder. But technically, there was no hard evidence. The first interview was calm. Aaron showed up looking cool and collected, confident, even slightly annoyed. He acted like a witness, not a suspect. When asked where he was that night, he said, "At home," then went out to find some weed. Didn't see anyone, didn't hear anything. Officers noted how disturbingly calm he was, cold. He didn't ask a single question about the girl. Not, "Did you find her?" Not, "What happened?" like he already knew. But the real breakthrough came not from Aaron, but from his mother, Jeanette Campbell. That morning, she noticed something odd. While reviewing footage from their home's exterior security cameras, she saw her son leaving the house at 1:54 a.m., returning around 3:30 a.m., leaving again 10 minutes later, wearing only shorts, holding something in his hands. Coming back 7 minutes later without the object. leaving once more, this time with a flashlight. And finally returning for good around 4:30 a.m., she felt something was wrong. She confronted him. He said he was just out walking. She didn't believe him, and she made a decision few parents could. She went to the police herself. "I don't believe he's involved," she said, "but I want you to rule him out. Here's the footage." It was a step that helped break the case. After reviewing the video, police began looking for physical evidence. They quickly found it. A knife on the shoreline in the same area Aaron had walked. Then barefoot prints in the coastal clay. Then DNA analysis. Meanwhile, Aaron showed no signs of fear or remorse. The day after the murder, he sent a selfie on Snapchat to friends with the caption, "Found the killer." In the photo, he pointed to himself in the mirror. On July 4th, after the first forensic results came back, police brought Aaron in again, this time as a suspect. He realized his lies were unraveling. He began contradicting himself. When they told him his DNA had been found on Alicia's body, he shrugged. "I had sex with Tony that night. Must have transferred from her to the girl." It was a monstrous lie, one he had crafted overnight. He accused Tony of raping and murdering Alicia, building a twisted defense strategy. He claimed Tony was jealous of the girl and used Aaron's semen from a condom to frame him. Investigators were stunned. Aaron lied with ease, smooth and emotionless. He lied about sex, death, innocence. Not a single twitch of his face. But the evidence was overwhelming. The camera footage, the DNA, his behavior after the murder, the attempts to destroy clothes, the lies, the cold demeanor, all of it fit into a horrific picture. And on July 5th, 2018, Scottish police announced, a 16-year-old male has been arrested on suspicion of the abduction, rape, and murder of Alicia MacPhail. The island fell silent. People were in disbelief. Then they began to cry. In February 2019, one of the most high-profile criminal trials in Scottish history began. In the courtroom sat the jury, journalists, Alicia's family, the police, and the 16-year-old defendant, whose name had not yet been published in the media. Aaron Campbell, a boy's face, eyes like empty wells. He sat in a black suit, expressionless. Not a single flinch when the prosecutor read the charges: abduction, rape, murder. The trial lasted 9 days. The details of the crime were so disturbing that even official broadcasts advised journalists to report with extreme sensitivity. For the first time, the autopsy findings were read aloud. Alicia's mother, Georgina, began to cry, supported by her own mother. Robert, Alicia's father, clenched his fists but didn't say a word. Aaron remained silent, but his defense stunned everyone. His lawyers argued a unique strategy. He claimed he was innocent, that on the night of the murder, he had sex with Tony in a garage, then went home, and that Tony, driven by jealousy toward Robert's daughter, killed Alicia and used Aaron's semen to frame him. It was vile. He threw an innocent woman under the bus, a woman who had helped search for Alicia, wept for her, woke up screaming in nightmares now being accused. The prosecution called it an intellectually vile lie. The judge called it an insult to the family. Aaron, answering questions, stayed composed. He lied like an actor, repeating rehearsed lines. But at one point, the prosecutor pressed hard. "Aaron, you say you felt no attraction to Alicia?" "Yes, of course." "Then why did you Google, 'How does police find DNA' that very evening?" Silence. Then a pause. Then he shrugged. Curiosity. The jury deliberated. After 3 hours, they returned. Verdict: guilty, on all counts, unanimously. When the verdict was read, Aaron's face didn't change. He didn't lower his head. He simply looked up at the ceiling, then turned toward the press like he was searching for a camera. Before sentencing, the court ordered a full psychological evaluation. It was conducted by Dr. Gary McPherson, a forensic psychiatrist. The report shocked even the judge. Aaron admitted that he enjoyed the murder, that he had to hold back laughter in court so as not to ruin his defense. He confessed that he had fantasized for a year about doing something extreme, including rape. That the moment he saw Alicia, something clicked, and he knew, yeah, this is it. "I just wanted to know what a killer feels like. Now I know," he said. "Do you regret it?" Number it was interesting. Dr. McPherson wrote in his report, "The subject does not suffer from any mental illness or personality disorder. He is fully sane, but he lacks all empathy and remorse. He is cold, he is calculated, he is dangerous." On March 21st, 2019, in the High Court of Glasgow, sentencing was delivered.
You went into the house and then her bedroom. You removed her from there and took her to a secluded spot where you violated and murdered her in the most brutal fashion. The details of that were revealed in the evidence, and I do not intend to go over them again. Your attitude was clearly demonstrated by the evidence that you posted an image of yourself in a mirror while making a joke that you had found where the murderer was hiding. The arrogance and callousness of that is breathtaking. Thanks to the dedication of the police and forensic scientists, ably assisted by members of the public, such as those who came forward when they found articles of your clothing on the shore, you were eventually brought to justice. Not once during the trial did I detect a flicker of emotion from you, and that was also the experience of the professionals who interviewed you for the purposes of the reports. The nature of these appalling offences and what I have read in the reports make it clear to me that reintegration and rehabilitation, while these are important considerations, are remote possibilities, and neither your best interests nor anyone else's will be served by a speedy return to the community.
Judge Lord Matthews addressed Alicia's family first. "I know no sentence can bring your child back. No words can erase your pain. But I hope some measure of justice, however imperfect, can be found today." Then he turned to Aaron. "Aaron Campbell, you have been found guilty of one of the most vile crimes ever committed in our nation. You took the life of an innocent child, not by accident, not in a moment of rage, but deliberately, coldly, and methodically. Your face is the face of evil, and your soul is empty." He sentenced Aaron to life in prison, with a minimum of 27 years before eligibility for parole. On appeal, the sentence was reduced to 24 years due to the defendant's age. But society had already issued its own judgment, eternal contempt. Journalists were allowed to publish Aaron's name and photo. It was a rare exception for a minor, but the judge ruled it was in the public interest. When his pale, almost childlike face appeared in the news, those hollow eyes, many couldn't believe it. Him? That boy? Yes, it was him. No one else.
Good afternoon. I welcome today's verdict and hope that it will bring some comfort to the family and friends of little Alicia McPhail, who have been through the most horrific ordeal. Throughout the police investigation and this trial, Alicia's family have shown incredible bravery in the face of the most appalling circumstances. Alicia's senseless and barbaric murder shocked the small community in Bute and people across Scotland. The effects of her death are still being felt today.
The sentence had been handed down. The courtroom emptied. Cameras shut off. Journalists returned to their desks. But the silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was hollow, deep, bottomless, and all-consuming for those who had loved and lost Alicia McPhail. For her family, the real ordeal was only beginning. Georgina, Alicia's mother, stopped leaving the house. She couldn't bear to walk past the streets where her daughter once played. She couldn't listen to children laughing. It sounded foreign now, painful. She wrote, "Sometimes I wake up thinking it was all just a nightmare. But then I realize the nightmare is just beginning." Robert, Alicia's father, blamed himself for not locking the door, for not waking up, for not protecting her. His relationship with Tony fell apart. He tried to stay strong for his parents, for Alicia's memory, but every day became a battle with himself. Grandma Angela burned the pajamas Alicia had worn that night. "I couldn't keep in the house the last thing that had touched her," she said. Grandpa Callum stopped going to the beach. He couldn't walk the same path where he had last held Alicia's hand, chasing a runaway balloon. The Isle of Bute changed too. Locks appeared on doors. Curtains stayed drawn. Conversations on benches fell silent. Kids stopped playing alone. People who once saw Aaron as just a regular kid now recoiled at the memory how he once fixed someone's bike or liked a neighbor's photo of their child. Journalists from across the UK flooded the streets of Rothesay. Cameras, drones, interviews. Headlines read, "The boy who became a monster. The child from the abyss. The case that changed Scotland." But behind the headlines were real people. People who simply loved a child and lost her. Aaron Campbell was placed in solitary confinement. His mother, the one who had handed over the surveillance footage, began receiving threats. She went into hiding. Her family disowned her. Inside prison, Aaron became a target. Even among inmates, he was hated. He wasn't allowed to sleep. Messages were scrawled across his cell walls. He was beaten so badly he ended up in the hospital, his lip split, cheekbone fractured, tooth knocked out. He no longer smiles. But the most chilling part isn't what happened in prison. It's what he confessed to the prison psychiatrist after the trial. "I don't regret it. It was something I wanted to try. It was just an opportunity. No remorse, no guilt. Just a cold statement of desire." As if he were describing downloading a new game on his phone. He even said he was pleased with the outcome. Dr. McPherson underlined in his final report, "Rehabilitation is extremely unlikely. He is not ill. He is empty, and that emptiness cannot be treated." Alicia's funeral took place in a small church in her hometown. Over 600 people came, dressed in pink, her favorite color. Her coffin was white. Around it, stuffed animals, cards, flowers. The service lasted less than an hour, but no one wanted to leave. People stood in silence, holding hands, even strangers. At the center of it all, a photo of a smiling girl holding a balloon, a gift from someone at her last birthday, her final one. After the case, the government took action. Proposed stricter penalties for juvenile offenders, petitions to allow names to be released in extreme cases, funding for psychological support for victims' families. But no law can bring back what was lost. We cannot bring Alicia back, but we can remember. We can protect others. We can stay alert, compassionate, honest. Let this story remain in our memory, not as just another true crime case, but as a reminder that even the quietest places can harbor darkness. And it is up to us, adults, parents, neighbors, teachers, to stop it before it strikes. Alicia dreamed of a future. She wanted to be a YouTuber, to make videos, to make people happy. She could have grown up, learned, loved, inspired, but someone's darkness stole that from her. And now we must speak for her. And now I want to ask you, what do you think about this case? Was justice served? Could this tragedy have been prevented? How could a teenager go so far? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Even a few words help preserve Alicia's memory, and they fuel a conversation about how to make our world safer. Tell us where you're watching from. What country? What city? It's amazing to see how far Alicia's story has reached and who it has touched. If you care about stories like this, if you believe they matter, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next documentary. Leave a like if you believe stories like Alicia's need to be heard. These aren't just buttons, they're your support and our shared memory. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Take care of yourselves and those you love. And remember, even one voice can make a difference.